Hey everyone, welcome to One Page Ahead podcast, where I break down popular self-help books one chapter at a time so you can get the conversational lesson without reading a single page. My name's Thomas Sang, and in season 1, we're talking about atomic habits. We're on chapter 3, and chapter 3 is called How to Build Better Habits in 4 Simple Steps. So now we're diving into the actual methodology of building great habits. Before we get into the methodology, we have to understand, why do habits form in the first place? So as humans and creatures in general, the first time that we come across a challenge or a problem and we're not sure how to solve it, we're just all testing the water to see what works. And how we test it is based off of historical evidence of what we've tried before, what we know to be true, and then we try to make sense of everything else, trying to come up with the most effective action. And over time, those actions then become habits, and habits are really just reliable solutions to reoccurring problems in our environment. So we go through the try, fail, learn, try phase. And as we do that multiple times, the habits actually decrease the level of brain activity. And so what happens is then we stop analyzing and we jump right to the solution. For example, you're standing in an elevator, you're standing in line, and it gets a little bit awkward. You don't know what to do. So you jump right to the solution of pulling out your phone and doom scrolling or checking your messages or whatever it is, because that is how you find comfort. Right now we know where habits come from. Let's talk about the effective way building better habits. And there's really 4 simple steps that James Clear talks about in Atomic Habits. And it's cue, cravings, response, and rewards. Cue is what initiates the behavior, a behavior that predicts rewards. Think of it as a trigger that starts the habit. It's a thing that our brain notices and it automatically kicks us up and we perk up and we're like, okay. For example, that I use is the awkward situation, pull out your phone. You lay in bed, you start doom scrolling. You wake up and you start checking your phone. You wake up and you make coffee. The next step is cravings, and cravings is a motivation. The level of motivation for that habit. Without cravings for change, there's no reason to actually take action. All right, listen to this for a second. You don't crave the habit. You crave the change it delivers. That blew my mind. I don't crave doom scrolling. I crave entertainment. I don't crave fast food. I crave the comfort when eating fast food, which is super interesting because everyone craves different things based off of what interests them and how they're brought up. The next one is response, and response is actually doing the action. It is the habit itself, the thing that you actually do. Listen to this for a second. Habits can only happen if you are capable of doing them. That's what I have highlighted over here. And that's why everyone's habits are a little bit different. And the last piece is reward. And what I have here is your brain is a reward detector. We're always looking for ways to satisfy needs. So in summary, cue is noticing a reward. Craving is wanting the reward. Response is taking action to get the reward. And then the reward is getting the thing itself. Every habit is to resolve a problem. And that is one of the key takeaways that I have from this chapter. I feel tired. I want to feel alert. So I drink coffee. Coffee is never associated with waking up. It's because I associated wanting to feel alert with coffee. As I start thinking, I'm thinking of all the habits that I have. I put my shoe on, for example, and I'm always putting one shoe on first. And if you think about walking up the stairs, you're using one foot first. How many things are actually habitual in your life? If you go to a restaurant, are you taking a sip of water first? Do you move your utensils to a certain side or a certain placement? I guess like that stuff doesn't really matter, but I'm actually genuinely curious now. It almost calls the question that should we be analyzing our life a little bit more of the things that we do? How often are you touching your face? Now I'm starting to think, is that why poker players are so good? Because they hyper analyze people and they're very aware of how they are on the field. Is what they say in the field. I'm in sales, so I always say in the field, but I guess on the table playing poker. I remember watching a video and someone was talking about, as humans, we always seek comfort. And it makes me think that, yeah, we actually do whatever is comfortable for us. And everyone has different levels of comfort. Comfort for me could be lounging at home. Comfort for someone else could be taking a hike, camping. Comfort for me is an all-inclusive vacation, and comfort for someone else is backpacking. It makes me start to wonder how many habits that we have actually come from very small triggers that you and I don't notice every single day. And they're usually just things that are easiest to do in the moment. Over time, it creates that habit loop then we just skip the problem solving process. And I guess as we go through life, I'm starting to think as kids, we put a lot of effort into solving things. I remember getting my first electric watch, or what do we call that? Digital watch. And I would never read the manual. I would play around with it for hours and figure it out. And I found enjoyment in that. And then somewhere down the line, I started to look at manuals and say, I just want to get this done the most effective way as possible so that I can move on with my day. I also recall learning with photographers. One of the photographers told me that we stop looking at how beautiful the world is because we're so used to just walking past it. When was the last time that you looked at a flower and you appreciated how beautiful Mother Nature is? Now I sound like a hippie. Dang. No, but all that said, like we drive through the same highway every single day, going to work or going wherever you go. When was the last time that you looked at the scenery? Is it weird that there's tourists that come to your country and your city and they look and they stop and they admire things that you walk by every single day and you haven't admired before? I guess I could call that habits, getting on with life without really noticing things anymore because you have a way of skipping the problem solving phase. So going back to cues for a second in this book, I'm a savory dude, by the way. I don't crave sweets. I usually like savory things. So if I look at a bag of chips, I'll crave the comfort of eating it and maybe the texture of it, but not actually when I'm hungry. I'm getting super deep into this, but I'm thinking now marketing, right? We think that we make the decisions, but the reality is most of the time we don't make the decisions. It is fed to us to make us believe that we're making the decisions. So they plant the cues in our life for us to crave the reward, crave a feeling or a lifestyle, and a response to it is to make the purchase to get that reward. I'm getting way too deep into this. All right. So that's chapter 3, how to build better habits in 4 simple steps. And we talked about the habit loop. In the next coming chapters, we're actually going to be talking about the laws of behavioral change. So make sure to follow, subscribe, comment, like to join me on this journey to becoming the best version of myself. We're going to learn how to create good habits. We're going to learn how to break bad habits. And more importantly, you're going to finish this book, because when's the last time you actually read and finished a self-help book? It's okay, I got you. Just listen to me instead. Anyways, thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next one.